And we're joined now by Clarity Capital CEO and founder Tal Keinan for a discussion of the logic and reason behind the MobilEye listing. Mr. Keinan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So why has the Gaza conflict not affected the record-setting MobilEye IPO?
All right, good question. First, the Gaza conflict is not really affecting Israeli markets in general.
Right.
So if you look at the Tel Aviv 25 stock index is up about 1.5%.
Stock index, right?
Yeah, while the S&P 500 Euro stocks are all down over the last month. So so in general, it doesn't seem like Israeli markets are being affected by what's going on. And we've discussed this on your program earlier.
Right.
But kind of I think what really underlies that on a more fundamental level is financial markets tend to look a little bit deeper. I'd say financial journalism tends to go a little bit deeper because of its consumers. The consumers of financial journalism are actually taking risk based on what they're seeing. So they tend to look deeper. It's not, when you're doing a Facebook like on a certain issue, you're not taking real risk.
Of course.
Whereas if you're going to invest in a MobilEye IPO, for example,
you want to know what's going on there.
You will have done your homework.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, as an exporter of financial services, has your investment firm been affected by the war, by the situation?
Yeah, so I think we're also in the same kind of boat. We haven't seen any impact on our business. Again, anybody who's, I think, in the service business on a global level, or what I'd call very easily transferable products. So, for example, software-based products. Isn't really seeing an effect, from this. Now, if you're the tourist industry, obviously it's a different story.
Would you say it has a lot to do also with niche markets? Israel is very strong in certain niche markets, in terms of biopharm, in terms of high tech. Yeah. There's certain products that we produce that, they'll need regardless. And so people, logically and sort of rationally tend to invest.
I agree with you. Look, if you have a serious competitive advantage in the field that you're delivering value in, people will tend to go for your product or service, and that's I think that's been the case.
Setting aside the Gaza hostilities, is basically the market especially hot right now for Israeli companies?
Yeah, so the market's hot in general for IPOs and all sorts of corporate activity, including mergers and acquisitions.
Right.
For Israel specifically, there's a long lineup. I think even this month we're going to see another 3 Israeli IPOs in the medical device and biotech space, and I'm sure a lot more by the end of this year. So for Israeli IPOs for sure. In general, just look at markets. Right now, we've got, certainly by the standards of the last few years, fairly rich multiples in equity markets, particularly in tech and particularly in biotech. You've got a lot of cash, so the M&A markets are well priced, which will translate to IPO markets as well. So it's a rich environment.
What are the pros and cons of listing and investing, for that matter, during a time of war? During a time of conflict, are there pros and cons that you could list in that point, or?
Well, I'd say it goes to the first topic we discussed, which is the kind of level of depth that that markets will look at different issues relative to kind of generic journalism. Okay. And that is, a lot of market participants look for catalysts which will affect prices and will tend to act on those catalysts. Meaning, if I have a deep understanding of a situation and I think the market is looking at it on a more shallow level and might misperceive, for example, a war as a reason to seek lower prices or lower price points, that's a buying opportunity for for a market participant. Again, I don't think we've seen that in this particular case, but that's certainly and markets tend to be forward-looking. The markets rallied about 6 months before the Battle of Midway in the Second World War. So markets, I think, really there is a certain wisdom of the crowd that comes into play in markets.
Feel it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, Tal Keinan, CEO and founder of Clarity Capital, thanks for joining us and enlightening us a little bit more about the markets during time of conflict.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.